Hear ye, hear ye. You are hanging with Langan. How are you guys today? Starting off a great week. I have to let you know that in just a moment, I am going to introduce you to my brother. He is a U.S. Marine. Once a Marine, always Marine. You can't say you were a Marine. You have to say you are a Marine. I made that mistake. You have to use the right tense. Always a Marine, which I respect greatly. And he's a history teacher in New Jersey. 4th of July is upon us, and I think this is a really good time just to honor the history of America, and also to, people put their lives on the line for us, and that's very important to me. I think vets should be treated like the kings and queens of our country. I think they should have the best of the best. And anyway, so my brother will be joining us in a moment. He's funny. Think of Vince Vaughn, but funnier. That's how I always describe him. And he's going to be now, the pressure's on, Mo. But we'll have him in just a moment. What I would like you to do, you guys have been so supportive of the show, so please share it. Just go right to my timeline. You're watching this, or you're watching it on the group page. Just hit share. We've been really growing the numbers, and I'm very grateful to you folks for that. It's the least you can do, frankly. Just share it. Start a watch party. That's what you want to do. Share, start a watch party. Let your buddies and friends all know. And, of course, support the show by getting your Don't Make Me Hate You items. This is my store. I have a store now, you guys. Don't Make Me Hate You masks. We have it all. I'll show it to you here. Why wouldn't I? All these Don't Make Me Hate You products. This is how we support the show. MoLangan.com. Just go to MoLangan.com. The store's there. We have onesies and clocks and shirts and all that happy stuff. And also the show today is brought to you by me and my wonderful supportive friend, Bob Johnson, whose company is Bitten by a Zebra. And any donations you make go to support the work that we're doing here free every day, Monday through Friday, to bring you great, great guests. I have the best guests. But okay, no pressure, but there's a little pressure. So if you want to share, for me to see your name, your beautiful name, and your lovely little Facebook comments, you don't have to. You can just comment without using your name or your photo. That's okay on Facebook. But you can also just go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, and I will be able to see who's making the comment. You can make a comment anyway, as long as it's nice, and I'll be able to see your name. And so we're going to get started now. Did you share? Did you do what I told you to do? I don't know if you did. Sometimes it's a little bit of a delay for the video to start. I used to work in professional television and radio. Things used to work. I didn't have to do everything myself. All right. I see some Lake Hiawatha people. Susan Botteroff watching. Oh, from Nantucket, Patricia Doloff. Oh, wonderful people. All right, you guys. So we are going to get this party started. See, I'm going to edit some of these because we're going to put them on bigger platforms in the very near future, which I'm excited about. So, let's pretend this is the start for those edited pieces. Thank you for hanging with Langan. Coming to the show today is a New Jersey history teacher and a U.S. Marine. Who is he, Maureen? Well, he just happens to be my brother, Michael Langan, joining us today. Oh, let me get your mic off, Mike. There we go. Hello, Michael.
Can you see me?
I can see you and I can hear you.
Yeah, that's good. I figured
you wanted to join me. You reached out to me. My brother reached out to me last week, and he said, Mo, I really would like to talk about PTS. And I said, PTSD? You said, no, PTS, which is, tell people what, people know the term, but you're a U.S. Marine, you served in the Gulf War. Tell people what PTS is.
Post-traumatic stress, we veterans, we leave the disorder out. We don't believe it's a disorder. We believe it's something that, what makes us up, who we are. And it's going through, you can get it from being in a car accident or whatever. It's going through a trauma, and I never realized that I actually had it. And so when I actually went and sat down, I already was a 30% disabled veteran due to lung issues. That's too long a story.
He had part of his lung removed. Okay.
Yeah, I lost my right lung due to being in the oil fires. And then my hearing was very, very bad. And thanks to my lovely wife, Liz, she said...
A beautiful wife, a nurse, Liz, who says you're much better looking than Vince Vaughn. Yes.
I never heard Vince Vaughn, by the way. Anyway.
The humor, the kind of, the humor. Yeah. Wedding Crashers. That's who you remind me of.
Oh, I like what is it, Four Christmases. I'm going to vomit. All right, anyway. So Anyway, I went, and there's a chapter of the Vietnam Veterans of America up here in Sussex County, and they're great guys. Vietnam veterans, really, they got shafted when they came home. And so they decided to make their own organization, and they've been very helpful to veterans that have come since. So I didn't really know how to go about filing a claim and anything. So I filed the claim for hearing, and I sat down with this very nice man, John Harrigan, Sergeant, U.S. Army, 2 combat tours of duty in Vietnam, just an all-around great guy. And he said to me, he said, Mike, okay, we got the hearing all squared away. We'll get you that appointment. Have you put in for post-traumatic stress? And I said, oh, come on, John, that's for guys who, really got hurt, like lost a leg or an arm or, God forbid, worse. And he said, well, he goes, just put it down. And he goes, you just go and talk to somebody. And he goes, you can't BS them. And he goes, who knows? You might get something out of it. So I went and sat down with a couple of shrinks, and I found out that I'm a little bit more messed up than I ever thought I was. So.
Well, you didn't have to go to them. I could have helped you. We're talking about PTS. It's no longer PTSD. Other words in the past have been shell shock, battle fatigue, but it affects people all across the country, the world. In America, they say about 3.5 million people have PTS, 1 in 11, and we're talking about veterans, people who have grown up around violence or natural disasters, or it can affect rape. People who've suffered been raped. So there's signs of it, like anger, edginess, easily provoked. What were some of the signs you had?
I do get easily provoked, but it's kind of strange. Like if I can't find my car keys, I'll go nuts. But if I'm in a tough situation, like when my kids were in the hospital and stuff, like it's for some reason I know how to deal with that better. But there are certain things that, long story short, years ago I was coaching football. This volunteer coach, 25-year-old kid, started cursing at me in front of the whole team, like wanting to fight me. And what runs through my head right here and there, I'm like, this kid has no idea who he's dealing with, none whatsoever. And the entire time he's yelling and screaming at me, I'm just looking at his throat.
Oh, don't talk about that. I can't. I have a throat phobia. That's my PTSD. I have a throat phobia.
Yeah, I was just keeping it PG-13. Oh. I was thinking of Decadum. Really. Okay,
Decadum is good. My hands just started sweating. Talk about, I have it. I have PTS.
And I guess it's due from, the fact that when overseas, as you remember the Gulf War, those who do remember Gulf War, the news.
Talk a little closer to the mic, pal, so I can hear you a little bit. Yeah. Here's a picture of you I want to show people some pictures. This is my brother Michael in the Gulf War, 1990-91. I remember when you went over. And here's you with some of your pals. It's a little fog, but those are the pictures of the day. They didn't have the iPhones.
Right there, the three of us, the fellow on the right, he's now a chief marketing executive for Purdue Chicken. And every time I buy chicken, I send him a picture of it.
Oh, well, Purdue Chicken. And this is tell me, who were these fellas, Michael?
That was the mortar section of Charlie Company of the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force Task Force Ripper. We were 1st Battalion, 25th Marine Regiment. I'm on the top. I don't know why I'm not wearing my cover, or what civilians will call a hat, because no Marine's ever allowed to go outside without wearing their cover.
Is that you right here?
I'm the tallest guy in the 3rd rank.
All right. But let's talk about this, because people who don't know the military world, you were a mortarman, and you were tell people what you were and where you went.
Well, a mortar is a small cannon, and it's what's called crew serve. So you have a team of 3 to 5 Marines that put it together. It's a small cannon. I carried the tube, and it's probably about as long as a baseball bat, and it fires a 60 millimeter mortar shell, which is 60 millimeters probably, like that. And it's strictly. And I was in the infantry. Obviously, I figured if I was going to go in the Marines, I had to go in the infantry. Wanted to run around in the mud and be out in the woods and stuff like that.
That's where you live. You could just stay in northern New Jersey and do that. You didn't have to.
I know. Instead, they sent me to the desert. Ironically enough, we were trained to fight Russians in Norway. And we go to the freaking desert. And I remember the first day we get in the...
Well, tell us where you were in the desert. Where were you?
Didn't really know. There's no real terrain features. Like if a World War II veteran says, I was in, I fought through France and we went through this little town or that little town. It's nothing. I just remember my buddy said, how can anybody live here?
Were you in Kuwait? Where were you? Where were you? Like exactly?
There was only one part. Like we landed in this place. It was called Camp 15. It looked like MASH. It had those big MASH tents. And then we were there for about 3 weeks.
But what country were you in?
Oh, Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry. I figured that was understood.
No, it's not just. This is a long time ago. People want to know. They want to walk the walk with you, but not literally. Okay.
Well, the whole thing was that Kuwait was invaded by Saddam Hussein's Iraqi army, and the thought was that he'll gain control. He might invade Saudi Arabia, and then he'll control 30% or so of the world's oil. So we had to go over there, and so we landed in a place called Port Jebel. And I remember the first second I got off the plane, Mo, you'll empathize with this. It was probably 120 degrees. And I'm like, oh my God. And I got a sunburn in about 4 seconds. Nobody had any, sunblock or anything.
The Irish skin.
And then, and it was about 9 o'clock in the morning. And they said, the trucks will be here in 10 minutes. And this is actually a funny story. So 2 hours go by, no trucks. And then it starts raining. And they said it only rains 3 days a year in the freaking desert. And it's, pouring rain. And my buddy Carswell looks at me and he goes, oh man, because of course it starts raining. We're freaking here. And the trucks didn't come until 7 p.m. that night. And we landed at 9 a.m. in the morning. Anyway, so we went up to Camp 15, which was just very nondescript, kind of looked like MASH. We were base security there. That was pretty grueling. You were 8 hours on, 4 hours off, 8 hours on, 8 hours off. It was pretty rough. But they were just getting everybody overseas. There were just thousands and thousands of Marines coming in there. And then we went up to the front lines, and we didn't quite know where we were going to go or what the deal was going to be, but we were at a place called Khafji, probably about 5 miles outside the city of Khafji, where the first battle took place. And we were up all night and we watched the whole thing. We didn't take any fire, but it was insane.
How frightening. You had to be scared, or how do you just...
I don't know, it's not like I'm John Wayne or anything, but it's not the kind of fear of the high school bully's going to beat you up at gym class. You know what I mean? It's nothing like that. I can't explain it. It's just.
Which is scarier, the high school bully or this?
Probably, if that makes sense. Because we were trained so well. And you don't sit there and just think, oh, geez, there was a big part of me that said, if a bomb the size of a desk lands on me, I could be the best Marine in the world. I'm dead. I didn't think about those things.
Well, look at this. This is hauntingly beautiful. It's so creepy. It's almost beautiful, the colors. But where is this, Michael?
That is in Kuwait. That is the El Wafra oil fields that we went through into Kuwait. Now, those flames were probably anywhere between 15 to 20 feet high, easily. And what happened was the Iraqi army sabotaged the oil fields. They blew up something like 700 to 800 oil wells. We couldn't believe it. When we came over the horizon, when we went into Kuwait at about 5 a.m. that morning, we thought, the night before we saw the fires, we thought, who the hell's dumb enough to light a campfire? You're asking for trouble because the enemy can shoot that shit. But then as we got up to Kuwait and into the Kuwait, those flames didn't get any smaller. It was like, holy cow. And that's what I got to breathe in for a long time. And that's what destroyed my right lower lung. So.
What I want people to know, I'm speaking with my brother who's a U.S. Marine and a history teacher, and we're talking about PTS, formerly known as PTSD, shell shock, but it affects people across the gamut, anybody who's been exposed to violence or war or rape or just abuse. And I want to put this up here. If people need help, they can go to the va.gov. Yep. And they'll get services there, or you can call the crisis hotline, 800-273-8255. And if you're in crisis, if you're really at the end of your rope, and you're like, somebody freaking help me, you can call 800-273-8255 and hit 1 right away, or just call 911, because I called the 800 number twice to verify that you could get somebody, because I wasn't going to give out a number if they couldn't get somebody. The first night, hit 1 for English, hit 2 for Spanish. Hola, ¿cómo está? I'm like, what's happening? So I said, so just call 911 to be safe. But you can call this number if you're not at the total end of your rope and you're not going to, but if you do call the 800-273-8255, hit 1. I spoke to a lovely woman last night, and she said, what is your name? I said, Maureen. I'm just calling. I was a journalist. I'm just, verifying the facts. Have you had thoughts of suicide, Maureen? Freaking everybody wants to jump off a bridge sometime. What do you think? Well, of course not. I can't tell her that, because then I think she's going to call the authorities. I go, I'm fine. Everything's fine. But it is good to know there's a number there. It's good to know you can go to the va.gov. It's good to know that there will be people to help you. But if you are literally at the end of your rope, just call 911. Hola.
I don't think I've ever got to the end of my rope. Maybe I have come close, but anyway.
But we all have issues. That's the whole thing. Everybody has something. You're dealing with PTS. when you start talking about a throat, that's my thing. I get so phobic around it. We all have our things that trigger something in us. We're all human beings like that. But Michael, when you were in Desert Storm, and you're a big guy, how tall are you? 6'2",
6'3".
6'3".
Yeah. I grew an inch and a half in boot camp. I have no idea how that happened.
What'd you happen?
I grew an inch and a half in boot camp.
Now you're like disappearing into pixelated Michael. I don't know why.
Can you see me?
I can, but you're very pixelated, but it'll go away in a moment. Matthew Polk. Hello, Matthew Polk. What
Love
a great
Matt
guy. You'll always be his hero. What you have given up for our freedom. Damn right, Matthew Polk.
Matt Polk and I are going to get together when all this nonsense is over. Hopefully, we're going to have a beer or two. So that'll be nice.
Well, he's a good guy. So anyway, some of the funny things I remember when you, Michael, I remember when you went to Desert Storm, and I remember like I'm your sister, and I was so like not detached in a good, like detached, like numb, like scared, because this was one of the first times they were. It wasn't like when they would bring video reels home from World War II. This was like, or Vietnam. This was like on television at night. Like we're watching it, and I'm like, I'm gonna puke every night. I'm like, this is insane.
That's why I didn't write many letters home. I'm sorry. That's why I didn't write many letters home, because number one, I didn't want anybody to worry. And number two, if I started writing long letters, it would kind of play with your mind. Like you didn't want to, believe it or not, this might sound strange. We thought about getting home, but we didn't want to think about home.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah. Exactly. It's a detachment and not at the same thing you're going through, but you're so aware, but if you fully feel it, it's going to flip you out. And I remember our brother, John, this is a funny story. He sent you Listerine. Do you want to tell that story?
Picture. That's one of the best pictures.
A little slower. I want to hear you. Go ahead.
Well, he sent vodka in mouthwash bottles, but I was able to get back to Camp 15 one day, and I called him. I'm like, John, you gotta send me something. You're a resourceful guy. You know, get it done. So,
he's an engineer, by the way, John. So
yeah, of course. So what happened was I was able to make a phone call home. I don't know how or what was going on that day, but they brought us back to Camp 15, which probably was about 30 miles from where we were actually at. Anyway, so I call him, and he sends me a letter saying, well, actually, he had already mailed it, but he didn't send me a letter. He said in a phone call, he said, well, I threw 2 big bottles of booze in there, vodka, and I dyed them green, and it really looks like mouthwash. It looks like green mouthwash, like Scope. I said, that's great. And he goes, I also threw a few beers in there. And I'm like, I told you not to do that. They check boxes, they check packages, and if they see the beer, they're going to confiscate it and everything else. Well, the stuff got through, and I remember we were talking about drinking the mouthwash, which wasn't mouthwash, and because every MRE, which is a meal ready to eat, which is what the Marine Corps issues you, comes with a little packet like Gatorade. So we said, yeah, we'll mix it. It'll be great. We'll mix it. Well, when it got there, we were like, screw that. Boom, we just cracked it open.
People should know my brother, John, our brother went and bought the big Listerine bottles with the green mint Listerine. Took it off carefully, added vodka, put green dye in, and then hermetically sealed it again. Or did something.
That was. He still talks about that to this day. He goes, Mike. He goes, you saw what a great job I did on the safety seal. I'm like,
safety seal. But you also wanted Doritos. I remember that.
Yes.
Send me Doritos. I want to. And we're like, he's still 7. No matter where he goes, he's 7. Right?
I still like Doritos.
Commercial break. Hear ye, hear ye. You guys, in order to support the show, suggest a donation, $5, $10, $100, whatever you have. That's up to you. You want to be a patron of the arts, go ahead. You want to be my artistic sponsor, I'll cut off in the like Van Gogh. We have these masks, Don't Make Me Hate You. They're a big hit wherever you go. It's so funny. I started a store, third-party store, and you can go to Langan.com. Everything is there, but I'll show you some more of the products. We have all this. It's so fun. You got to go see what else we have there. It's hysterical. We have clocks and T-shirts, baby onesies. The coasters, those are really fun. The coasters are really cool. And so you can go there, be supportive of the show. But Maureen, what do the masks look like on somebody other than you? This strange lady, they look good on her. I don't know her. How about this one? Okay, the T-shirts are great. Do you have tank tops, V-necks? You know I do. I have it all. Baby onesies, though, that's killing me. The baby onesies, come on. All right, you guys. So that is what we have there. You guys share the show. I'm with my brother, Michael Langan. Everything's high tech around here. He's a U.S. Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. And if you know anybody who needs help in terms of a vet, maybe in distress and crisis, needing some help, you can go to the VA.gov or the crisis line at 800-273-8255 and immediately hit 1, so you don't have to go, hola, prese uno, just hit 1 right away and they'll bring you to somebody. Or of course, 911 if it's in dire straits. All right, so I'm just going to show a couple pictures. That's Michael when he enlisted. Were you in college when you enlisted? Did you decide I'm done with college?
Right after high school. If you saw that picture with the rifle, I had actually a sock over the stock. You see the green thing? I had a sock over the stock of the weapon to keep the sand out. The sand over there was so fine; it was like talcum powder. It got in your nose, your ears, your eyes, your mouth, your food. It just got everywhere. It was just an awful, awful place.
Well, I'm showing some of the pictures just so people can get a sense of what it was like. He was a mortarman. He was on the front line. I think because you're a big guy, they put you on the front line being the mortars because they're heavy to carry. Is that what it is? Because they're heavy?
No, that's just the way it is. You go up there.
They're just like, you up there. So I know you said you had a couple funny stories, and I know that, I think Michael's the funniest one in our family of the 6 kids, even though I'm the one who's put it forth. No, I'm kidding. You are so funny, naturally hysterical.
Oh,
but you are. It's just, and you have this like memory. Like I remember, you can remember every movie, every word from every movie. Or when you'd be at my apartment, you would just like turn the corner and there you are standing in the doorway with some like crazy, like Woody Allen stuff. I don't know. So what do you have any movies or characters you want to share?
Well, I just wanted to go back. You asked me about fear.
Let's go to fear.
This story just popped in my head. I don't often tell this one, but it was the night before we went in. We were part of what was called Task Force Ripper. We were the first 4,000.
Well, also Task Force what? Task
Force Ripper.
And
we were the first 4,000 Marines into Kuwait. So let me put it this way. We found this out after the war. There were, I think, 1,100 Marines in my battalion. They actually had 300 body bags and 600 Purple Hearts set aside for my battalion alone. Just that. We were expected to get, ripped to shreds.
And how many people were in that?
1,100. So they had
1,100 and they had 300 body bags.
300 body bags and 600 Purple Hearts. Because when you get killed in battle, you automatically get the Purple Heart. But that guy, I don't know why they told us that information afterwards, because that really bothered me in the respect. I'm like, you know what? We were good, like we had the mentality of, we're not going to talk about what they're going to do to us. We're going to talk about what we're going to do to them.
Did you lose any men out of that 1,100?
We had in my company, which was about 115 men, we had, I believe, 12 were wounded, none were killed.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. It's not a day that goes by that I don't believe that. But anyway, night before we went in, our platoon commander, great guy, Kevin Kajoyan, he was Armenian, so he used to bust his chops because he looked Arab. So we're like, sir, you could blend in perfectly with these guys. So because he was dark complexion, and anyway, I'll never forget these words, and I'll take these to my grave. He said that he goes, "This is it. We're going in. We're going to be the first in, and anybody gets hit, we get them. Anybody gets killed, we get them. We leave nobody behind. We're U.S. Marines."
Oh, God, I can't take it.
And I get emotional telling that story, and I'm not ashamed. But I remember thinking, nobody, like, you couldn't look at one Marine and say, he's not going to make it. Or nobody did any of that nonsense. But I did remember thinking at that time, it was probably around 11 o'clock at night, and I remember thinking, holy crap, some of us might not be here tomorrow. And that was a pretty sinking feeling. And I went into my hole. I cleaned my rifle probably about 6-7 times. I listened to Metallica and Justice for All 3 times, 88 straight killer metal music, which
that would stress me out alone.
That kind of revved me up in the respect, like, okay, I'm ready. Here we go. But you want to hear some funny stories? I'll try and share some funny ones with you. We went in, and I guess the second day, like, we started taking prisoners, like, here and there. And it was pretty funny. They would have like 5, 6, 10, 20 prisoners. They just started walking towards us. Yeah, here they are. They would put like this guy in the front, and they had these little leaflets that we dropped on them. By the way, I'm in the front on the right there in that pic. They would put like one guy in front with a leaflet, and the leaflet was probably about the size of a dollar bill or a tissue or something. And he knew maybe a few phrases in English. And they put that guy in front, which was actually not a bad idea. So they put that guy in front, and he'd be waving a leaflet, and he would just be going, USA, USA, George Bush, no shoot, no shoot, no shoot. So
Really? So they just would fold because they didn't want to be doing this.
well, yeah, they didn't, and I'll tell you how badly they didn't want to be doing it. We had this one poor bastard that we picked up a prisoner. He had like prom shoes on. He had an army uniform on, but he was wearing like those shiny prom shoes that you rent for a wedding or whatever, or a prom. And we're like, oh, we got to find out.
Women's shoes or men's shoes?
Men's shoes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, like the shiny, plasticky looking shoes.
Yeah.
So we said, we bring the interpreter over. We're like, what's this dude's story? Evidently, he was he was heading out to a dance club to meet some friends, and the Iraqi police picked him up because he was of military age and threw his butt in the military.
So he's on his way dancing, and they chucked a uniform on him and said, "Get on the front line."
Yeah, and we nicknamed him Shoes, and he would look at us, Shoes, like Shoes. Hey, what's up, Shoes? So, but we had another guy.
What happened to these guys that you guys would round up?
We would kind of like leapfrog. We would go forward, another unit would go beyond us, and so on and so forth. And then I think by day 3, most of these guys got picked up, and like the first 2 days we had like 1,500 prisoners. It was just insane.
Would they be taken care of? Like
well, we did our best, but we went into Kuwait so far so fast that we got separated from our supply trucks, and so you just got to keep going. I went 38 hours without eating the food. There was no food.
That's the only time in your life you've done that.
I've never even gone 38 minutes. So
you have to know what it's like to grow up in a family with 6 kids, because my fella, the Sicilian, he's an only child. And I tell him all the time, he's like, you finished it? You didn't even ask me if I wanted a bite before you finished it? Mm-hmm. And then, Michael, you would hold a sandwich. We had submarine sandwiches in Lake Hiawatha from Rose's Deli.
A Carmelo sandwich. You guys would abuse it. It was brutal.
And we would be so, like, anybody come home with one, they smelled so good. You're like, can I have one? Can I have a bite? And Michael would put his fingers at the very tip and go, you could have a bite. But if you had too much, you'd bite his fingers. It was just insane.
I had to do it because, well, I actually trusted you. John would just take the whole freaking thing. You're a fucking jerk.
People don't get what it's like when you're in a big family, or like you bake and you took 3 slices. You're only supposed to have 2. There's 2 for each person, and you took 3.
God forbid if you finish the frickin' milk.
Oh, the milk. Friggin', I hate milk to this day. I can't. Oh, yeah. I love big. Oh, Patricia's from a very big family. I think you had like one of 8 or 10 or something. Yeah, people don't know. There's just and then Tony being the Sicilian, I call him, being an only child. It's like, all right, I left. I go, well, I just want you to ask if I want any more. I may not want any more, but you just have to ask.
Yeah.
All right, but before I let you go, the reason my brother Michael is here today, 1 pat of butter, Patricia would get. I didn't like butter. Luckily for me, I wasn't big on dairy products. She's one of 13. Holy moly. Patricia Dollop, she lives in Nantucket. What a wonderful woman. I met her when I was performing up there, and she's a yoga teacher. Met her on the beach with her daughter and a dog. I believe there was a dog. Yes, I think. Anyway, what precipitated this conversation today is my brother. He's come out of the closet as a PTS survivor. I mean, given that it's Pride Month, but I'm proud of you.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Huh?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Some of my best friends. No, it's a great month. But he came out and talked to me about, for a long time, dealing with PTS, what used to be called PTSD, but it's not a disorder. It's part of the human condition for people who've gone through trauma. And what I wanted to do is I'll keep some information up there for you, because, people can be in crisis. They can be suffering. They can be in pain, and you have to be supportive. We're all in this crazy nightmare together. And that's the number for the VA. You can go to va.gov or the crisis hotline there. So is there anything else you want to share before I say I'll see you around like a donut? Any stories, anything? Any characters, any movies, anything?
Characters, movies.
Well, I love when you do characters in movies that have nothing to do with the Marines. It just makes me laugh.
Well, one of the things is, you'd be surprised, like, being overseas, like, you had to laugh. And I was like, one of my favorite movies is Caddyshack, when Rodney Dangerfield and the gopher steals his ball. And he goes, hey, the kangaroo stole my ball. Freaking kangaroo. And I know it's ridiculous, but I mean, the reason why I identify with that movie so much is because I was a caddy with John at the Knoll Country Club for
our brother. Yeah.
So
our other brother. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I don't know. I'm probably
we're getting a request from Matthew Polk. Do impressions. Okay. Well, Matthew, do you have any personal requests? We're taking requests right now. The pressure's on, I guess.
The pressure is on. I don't know. I mean,
you don't know. You're full of them. Elizabeth, Liz, tell me which ones.
When I teach class, like for example, I do generic people. Like I'll be like, "Oh, they're French, they're French here. We have some French rifles to sell you. Never been fired and only dropped once." When I do my German accent, it's normally like a fat kid who eats chocolate. Like, I have more. And but however, when I do a Spanish accent, kids are like, "Oh, that's racist." I'm like, "How's it racist?" I did my Japanese accent. You didn't get upset. I remember one time when I was playing rugby, we played this team they were called Old Japan, a bunch of Japanese businessmen working in Manhattan that formed a rugby team. And they did their line out calls, like the calls like a quarterback would do in Japanese. And they would have the ball and they'd go, it's fucking hysterical. So,
well, Matthew Polk is enjoying it. Any dad impersonations or Archie? Nah.
Now that I wear glasses, it's easier.
Go ahead, do dad.
The yoke, the yoke. It's over there by the yoke next to the yoke. I will tell you this: when I enlisted in the Marines, he went and saw Full Metal Jacket, and I was leaving in like 2 weeks, and he came home and he looks at me and he goes, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I said, "This." And this, that, then, there, doze, turdy, turd. But Dad, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. And he looks at me and goes, "Well,
you got to put the glasses on. Put the glasses on."
Put the glasses on? Okay.
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, maybe they'll give you a better kick in the ass than I did." So
when I did my one-person show, Daughter of a Garbage Man, whenever I would become dad, I would be like, and pick up their trash all year long, You think they come out Christmas time and give me a hello? Jesus, you never call it money on the job. That'll land you in hot water. I tell you what I do, right up to the door. Mac, open up. Who is it? It's Hughie, the magician. The guy who makes your garbage disappear.
Well, he met Barry Manilow in the 70s.
He did?
Yeah, and they were taking out old washers and dryers out of not just Barry's apartment, I guess in the community apartment area. So Barry came down. And so Hughie looks at him and goes, "Aren't you a singer?" And he goes, "Well, I've been known to sing and play a couple of tunes." And so Dad goes, "Do I like your songs?" What the hell is that?
He's such a character. Anyway, Hughie Langan. Michael, I'm glad you reached out to be a part of the show. You don't know to do that. I just want to wrap it up by letting you guys know. So this is my brother when he was in the service. And why do they say once a Marine, always a Marine? Whereas they'll say you were in the Army, you were in the Navy, but when you're a Marine, you're always that.
Well, it has to do with our history. We're steeped in our history and our esprit de corps. That's the brotherhood. I'm glad I did it. I'd do it again, believe it or not. But it's like when hopefully I'm getting together with about 8 or 9 guys next week. And it's going to be like we just, saw each other 2 days ago.
There's got to be a brotherhood and a bond that never goes away.
We got together in Manhattan in February and went to McSorley's and we tore it up. It was fun.
McSorley's, you guys, if you've never been to McSorley's, downtown Manhattan, you got to go. It's insane. Shoot the boot. Remember shooting the boot? They put beer in my disgusting brother's rugby boot, and you'd go around. Everybody had to take a
no, you had to chug the whole thing.
Well, I didn't, but I did some of it.
Once or twice.
And again, here's the number, you guys. Anybody needs help, anybody needs supports, dealing with PTS, that's the number right there. And again, if you want to support the show, you know how to do it. You know what it's all about. Tomorrow on the show, I'm going to have Gabe Abelson. He's been a late night writer for Bill Maher, Politically Incorrect, for David Letterman. He was nominated for 5 Emmys. I mean, I just think it's so exciting to talk with him. We're going to have a great week with you. And Pal, I'm so glad you joined me. I love you to bits and pieces.
Love you too, Mo. Thanks for having me. It's all good. And just remember, if you know somebody, just support them. That's all. That's all I want.
All right. And let them, sometimes they don't tell you, how do you know? I guess you got to look for the signs, right?
I guess, it's all right. I don't hide it. I've been telling my classes for years, and the kids really appreciate that and stuff. I said, is this something that,
real people deal, right?
Yeah. And it's all good. It's not like I wait real quick.
Yeah. Sure. We got forever.
People ask me do you have nightmares? Wake up in the middle of the night. And I said, there's only one nightmare that wakes me up in the middle of the night. And it has to do with me. I have to do boot camp all over again. And I have this nightmare about every 2 or 3 months. And I try and tell them, and now I'm 50. And I'm like, I can't do that stuff anymore. You want me to climb ropes? I'm 50 years old. I already did this before. You guys don't understand. I already served my time in the Marines. And they're like, no, get in line, shut the hell up. And I'm like, oh, that's the only nightmare I have. I have to do the freaking whole boot camp all over again. With
that would totally suck. I had a dream last night that Michael Bloomberg, who I worked for 7 years, is like, Mo, why don't you come back? During this virus time, do your reports like this. We'll find a place for you. We'll pay you well. I'm like, freaking yeah, where do we do this? Where do we do that? Where do we sign up? Because, I'm watching my comedy friends, like my friend Martin Moore in the UK. He was a circus performer. He grew up in a circus. His mother was either the fat lady or the bearded lady. Or maybe both. I can't remember. But he grew up. He's so talented. He's so funny. He's one of the best in Europe. And he's, putting on Facebook, you guys, I don't know how to make this happen. I'm trying to learn the technology. I'm trying to do a show. I'm trying to do hits on YouTube. What's going to become of us? And we all feel that way. We don't know when the comedy clubs are going to open up. You don't want to be in a tight group like that right now. And you wonder if it's going to be the same anyway. You can't do comedy with people spaced out 500 feet apart.
No, I don't even know if high school's going to open up. What the hell?
Well, anyway, I let people know I do a lot of corporate hosting and emceeing on the .com because they don't know how to do it. These corporations, they're boring the crap out of me. They do these things and you're like, it's boring. Langan here will keep it moving. We'll keep it fun. We'll keep it fast. So reach out to me at molangan.com. All right, pal, I'll see you around like a donut.
All right, Mo. Thanks for having me.
All right, you guys, Monday through Friday, hanging with Langan here. I'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Mwah!